Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Ratitude Podcast. I am so excited today. I've got an incredible human being, Shawn Poe, here with me. I met him and his wife in Fiji at a Tony Robbins event called Life and Wealth Mastery, and we had so much fun there. And this couple is just amazing what they do. They're on stage talking all the time, and they've just created an incredible life. And so I wanted Shawn to come on here and say, how did this happen? Because it's kind of unique. He's like an accountant or a finance guy or something like that. And his wife was off doing an MLM. I think it's LifeVantage. Is that the one?
It is. Yeah.
And she became like a superstar. And he's sitting there looking at it going like, hey, I should do something like that too. Like maybe I should join my wife. And then did. And then they blew this thing up. And now the two of them are on stage doing amazing things. And I want to hear about how that happened, how your mind, went from an accountant. Is that what it was? Were you accountant?
Financial analyst. Yep.
Financial and analyst. How you went from that to an MLM god.
Yeah.
How did that happen? So Shawn, first tell us a little bit about your background, because, when I think about financial analyst, I think about engineering my mind, and then we get into this different world. So tell us first of all, how did you become a financial analyst? Like what, did you wake up one day and said, I need to become a financial analyst?
No, it was the exact opposite. I kept going to school and collecting degrees because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So,
okay.
We joked that I wanted to be a game show host, which was true, but I didn't get on The Price is Right. So eventually I decided, Robert, that I probably better stop collecting debt in school and get out into the working environment and get a job. And I landed into the banking world with Wells Fargo. Math, numbers, they come easy to me. And I got my security licenses with Wells Fargo. Series 7 and 66. And I was fortunate to be a part of them buying out strong mutual funds. And so I worked on the transition of their portfolio into Wells Fargo's portfolio. And it was an amazing job, for being a corporate employee. We had cooks, that cooked us breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon snacks, anything we wanted. But at the same time, my wife got very, very sick. And we honestly, Robert, we didn't even know how long she was going to live. So we were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at that point. We moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, just to be around family. Because again, we didn't know how long she was going to live. And family was the most important thing at that point in time. So unfortunately, on the working side, Michelle was able to take her job with her. She was one of the top mortgage account executives in the nation, and she could work remotely. But my job was either done in San Francisco or Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. So I kind of had to reinvent myself, and I didn't want to get into retail banking, which was kind of my opportunity in Sioux Falls if I wanted to stay with Wells Fargo. So at that point in time, I jumped over to Citigroup. I got into corporate treasury. Banking didn't need to be done in New York anymore. In South Dakota, labor is a lot cheaper than Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So my specialty was learning what other people did, documenting the processes. I lived in hotel rooms in New York and would try to fly home on the weekends. And then the people that I got the information from, we'd fire them and we'd hire somebody in South Dakota that I'd trained to do the work for about 30 cents on the dollar. So wow. I'm sure you can imagine I wasn't the most liked guy in the room when people found out what I was doing in New York. And it was hard as a father and a husband being away so much. And that environment was very dog eat dog. And it honestly, it was crushing my soul. So we were looking for an avenue, a vehicle to get out of that. We've always been super entrepreneurial, but at the same time, we didn't have the flexibility and resources to just cut the cord and me just say, I'm not going back to the corporate environment. And so, my last 3 years that I was with Citigroup, I managed the defaulted student loan portfolio, which is a pretty hot topic right now.
Yeah.
When I was doing cash movement for Citi, I moved anywhere from $4 billion to $40 billion every single day. And then the student loan portfolio that I managed, I did all the litigation and collection activity on it. And that was around, I would guess an $800 million portfolio when I left. And the funny thing is, when I look back on that, I kind of dug the well before we got thirsty. Like you said, with Michelle, she was already doing LifeVantage full time. I was doing it part time, helping on nights and weekends when I could. But I had somebody sitting next to me at my desk in Sioux Falls because $1 billion portfolio with Citigroup isn't very good. And they wanted to merge it with the credit card portfolio, which was in Kansas City. So I knew that in 3 to 4 months, they would have the information out of my head. I was disposable and they could move on, and I would have one of 3 choices. And that was move my family to Kansas City and keep my job, which we didn't want to do, take another management position at Citi, which I didn't want to do, or walk away with the severance package. And I would have honestly walked away for nothing. And we had built up our plan B enough that when that day came, January 13th of 2012, I walked away and they paid me to do it. So that's kind of the 10,000 foot overview of how we got into network marketing. And it transformed every aspect of our life, including my wife's health, which was pretty unexpected.
That's great. Michelle's an awesome person. I remember that in Fiji, when I met you guys, it seemed like every break she would show up and her hair would be different. And I kept saying, who are you? You're like a different person. And there was like 3 or 4 different personalities that showed up there. It was just, it became kind of funny after a while. But for those of us in the audience that don't know what LifeVantage is, could you just tell us what that is? And maybe some people don't know what network marketing is.
Yeah.
I know someone tried to talk me into it. A lot of people have tried to talk me into it, but what turned you on about it? What is it? And why is it been amazing for you and particularly for Michelle's health?
I'll start with what network marketing is because I was very naive and didn't understand what it was. And I'll be perfectly honest that I had a negative connotation attached to it. My joke with Michelle was if we're professional network marketers, we'll get a check for $20. We'll go get a Redbox movie and a bottle of wine. But in the business world, what I found is even if you're skeptical about something, be open-minded enough to get the information and see where it fits in with your life. And even though I was the guy at the back of the room with my arms crossed saying, this sounds too good to be true, I took that approach that I'll be skeptically open to it. And so we really dug into Michelle on the science side of things, and I dug into the business side of things. And what I found, Robert, was when network marketing is done right with the right people and the right products, is one of the most extraordinary ways to do business and very different than what I was accustomed to in the corporate environment. You know, I was an employee that traded time for money. When I stopped showing up on January 13th, they decided to stop paying me. And when we started to build LifeVantage, the more people that we told about it, the more people that wanted to see what it could do inside of their own bodies. And it just kind of snowballed into a business that we weren't purposely trying to build. And so after a few months, we had to step back and say, we're making this amount of money already without trying to make it a business. What would happen if we focused on it like a true business and treated it like a business? And, you know, our niche in the network marketing world is nutraceuticals. And, you know, there's a lot of people that they take supplements, and we're very different from a supplement company where I would say supplements you're taking because you're deficient in something specific. And so you're putting something in your body to replace that. And really what LifeVantage is about is finding ways to activate the body's own pharmacy, to turn it on again, to act like it should. And as every single one of us ages, things that used to work very, very well, they just don't work as good as we start to age. That's the aging process. And so there's different pathways that scientists know inside of the body that if you can reactivate them, you unlock that pharmacy that's inside of each and every one of us, and the body starts working more properly again. And so really what I tell people is in this environment, in this profession, we try to make people better versions of themselves. And it's threefold. The first is the most obvious because we're a nutraceutical company. We can help people with their health. And that could be either reactive to something that they already have going on or proactive that their body is in good shape already, but they don't want to deal with stuff 10, 20, 30 years down the road. The second thing that we help people with is the financial side of things. And 80% of our business is customer based. They're not interested in building a business or sharing or be a voice for the products. And I love that we don't, that we have that strong of a customer base. And we don't try to talk people into doing the business unless they see the business vision with us. But, we have 6-figure earners with us. We've been 7-figure earners for a while. And the third thing that was most unexpected in this, and actually what led to us kind of meeting up with you, Robert, is the personal development journey. I didn't expect that to come out of this profession. And there's a lot of people that are in our community, in our organization. They'll never share these products with anybody, but they come to everything because of the positivity, the environment, the community that they don't get anywhere else. And so we entered into this profession, not understanding that personal development dynamic, but it led us to Tony Robbins. It led us to meet the platinum partners like you and just amazing people across the globe that share the same vision that we do. We want to make humans better versions of themselves in different capacities.
Yeah. It's funny because one of my mentors, Matt Morrow, he was actually my first guest on my podcast. He always told me, and he's made like 500 million in MLMs for the last 35 years. He's like one of those guys. He's in the MLM Hall of Fame. I didn't even know there was one of those. But he said that network marketing, it's simply personal development with an opportunity attached.
Yeah.
And like you, I'd never heard of it. I was in the corporate world at Exxon.
Yeah.
And it was actually in Fiji at Life and Wealth Mastery, where Tony on video, he said that everyone should be in at least one network marketing company. And you got to find one that you're passionate about and that is early in its startup, is what he told me specifically when I was a platinum partner, because I was trying to figure out how to make enough money to fund my Pepperdine track team. Because I didn't have scholarships and I didn't have very much funding, and I wanted to win championships. And Tony told me the only way he could think to do it was to find a network marketing company that I was passionate about and that was early in the stage, so that you could, build it. And there were still a lot of people that didn't know about it.
Yeah, I love that.
I got into it, and like you, I go, this business model is cool. It's really great. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Is. And I'll give another analogy that I share with others on kind of how I see it, related to something everybody's familiar with, and that's Amazon. Like, how did Amazon disrupt the world? Well, they changed the way consumers buy, right? That pattern changed. And nowadays, almost every single person orders on Amazon in a given year, if not monthly, if not weekly, if not daily, right? And then if you step back and look and really analyze what Amazon is, it's a group of distribution centers that ship product directly to a consumer. And that's exactly what network marketing is they remove the storefront shelves and they ship direct to a consumer. But unlike Amazon that really offers everything, our specialty is in that realm of nutraceuticals. And I get a lot of people having that kind of epiphany of, oh, I get that. And that makes more sense to the preconceived notions that I have of, 50, 60 years ago of what network marketing was and whiteboards and circles and all of that.
So, okay, let's talk about personal development then. You worked in financial services for Wells Fargo and then Citibank, and you're obviously you're a smart guy. And then all of a sudden, this Tony Robbins dude shows up, and you're in LifeVantage, and you're learning personal development. What is it? I mean, like, I was in the corporate world. I didn't know anything about this. I mean, we actually brought in some personal development kinds of programs at Exxon, which was really amazing. And it just kind of snowballed. Where are you? What did you learn? How did it change your life? How did it change your mindset?
Yeah. So being entrepreneurs, you make a lot of mistakes. So anytime that you can find other people that have gone down a path and you can learn from them, you can shorten that curve of learning and not make as many mistakes as you would without that person. And so we had found Eric Worre as a trainer in network marketing that we really resonated with him. And so we spent a lot of time and energy and resources soaking up as much information as we could from him to get an outside perspective that wasn't involved directly with our company, but really, really knew the industry. And so at one of his events, he had paid for Tony Robbins to come in for, it was like 2.5 hours or something. And, if it's 2 hours with Tony, you're ending up with 4 or whatever it is. And afterwards, I was on such an overload of stimulation. I was just like, my mind couldn't process anything more. And when we got back home, Michelle was like, oh my gosh, I need more of this. And so she started looking into Unlock the Power Within, the UPW events. And when I started to look at it, I was like, this is 4 days of like 12 plus hours. How does anybody go through that? Because I was so overloaded with like 4 hours. And so we got, I kind of compromised with her and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this with you. We live life together. We 24/7, honestly, for the most part, we're together. And so I decided we would give this opportunity a chance. And when we went after that first day, we were like, we have to go all in. Like there's no dipping our toe in this. We signed up for the Platinum Partnership immediately on there, which led to that first event for us in Fiji with you. And that's how we met you. But it was just such a different concept. And I'm a very, very analytical person, very black and white, ones and zeros. Michelle, she's this rainbows and butterfly type of person.
Yep.
And we're both taking away different concepts from it, but we had a lot of epiphanies of here's why I think the way that I think. And here's some of the barriers that I'm putting in my own life that I'm sabotaging what we want to get to. And so we made that commitment and it was hard. That year is intense. Like once a month you're traveling and you're gone for 4 or 5 days and they're long days. But what we learned there changed our life. It changed the trajectory of everything. We've always lived life on a very high level, a high playing field and challenged ourselves. But when we were around, especially like the group of lions, we were like, we're playing small. Like we're not even close to the potential that we have. And so we really wanted to be around those people that had been down different paths, whether it was our industry or a different industry. They were successful business people and even better, successful at managing development of their own personal growth. And it was amazing. That year changed everything.
I didn't remember the story about Michelle and her health. Did LifeVantage or their products help her out with her health? I mean, because I take it that her health is good now because she's amazing. I've 100%. Seen her on stage. And yeah.
You would never know now that she was sick. And most people, even when she was at her sickest, had no idea what she was dealing with because she could put on a pretty smiley face.
Yeah.
But it happened shortly after our oldest daughter was born, Callista, in 2004. And it started with kind of tingling on the side of her face. It spread throughout the whole right side of her body. It started to impact mobility, limited mobility of her arm, her leg at times. It was affecting her vision. There were nights where she'd be in so much pain in her skull that I'd have to take her to the emergency room. Doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. I had a doctor come out at like 2 a.m. once telling me he wanted to crack open her skull to do exploratory brain surgery. And so we were on this path of how do we fix her? And as good as Western medicine is, they could rule out a lot of what it wasn't, but they could never tell us what it was. And it was gradually getting worse and worse over time. And so from 2004 to 2011, we saw it getting worse and worse and worse. And, at some point you're like, we've tried everything. We've seen the best doctors in the world. I don't know what's going to help. And whether it was a God thing, or just intersection of timing, whatever it was, a friend of ours who is a dietitian at the heart hospital here said, you've got to come to this meeting. There's this cardiologist that's going to talk about this product, Protandim. And what Nikki didn't know was that Michelle's biological dad died at the age of 42 of heart disease. And so we were going with the intent of, we don't want her to die at 42 of heart disease.
Yeah.
Maybe it could help with that. And little did we know, after a couple months of taking the products, all of the side effects that she was having from whatever was happening inside of her body weren't flaring up anymore. And it would come and go. And so at first we didn't really notice that it was happening. But as we were talking to more friends and they were asking how she had been doing, it dawned on us that we hadn't been to the emergency room lately. We hadn't been in a cardiologist or a neurologist's office lately trying to figure out what it was. And her life had returned to normalcy. Now, we're not a drug. We don't sell any drugs, so we can't claim it treats, prevent, cures, or mitigates anything. But I'm telling you, when the body's potential is opened up again, it has amazing benefits to your overall health. And so we saw this evaporation of the stuff that had previously been happening. And she hasn't had one episode since 2011.
Wow. So let me ask you a little bit about just, that's the supplement or nutrient side. You'd mentioned you weren't sure if it was a God thing or not. What's your spiritual life like? I'm involved with the Joe Dispenza world. There's a lot of healing going on there. Anything like that in your lives or mindset or?
Yeah, we go to church regularly. I absolutely believe energy in the world is a real thing. If people aren't tuned into it, I challenge you to, step back and realize how big of an impact just your personal energy can have on a room or an environment. And then think about other people that when they walk into a room, that thing that we call that a person has it's an energy field. Like you can feel it. You can feel that person. And some people have very, very heightened abilities to tap into that. That's something that I love. And Michelle and I were joking today that we want to find out sometimes that you're doing Joe stuff because we want to go. Like we've yet to integrate that into, the other things that we've done. But we're just amazed at the brilliance that he offers and an insight that you don't see from very, very many people.
Yeah. It's just another world that I've gotten involved with, and it's pretty fantastic. But it's neuroscience based. It is neuroscience based, and then you get into this woo-woo kind of place. And one of the things I've learned is that the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. There's just so much out there now.
Yep, which is a good thing, right?
It's a really good thing. Well, I'm so happy that Michelle's feeling pretty good and that you guys continue to do things, make the world a better place. And you've got 2 daughters, right?
We do, yes. And now they're 19 and 16, which is crazy.
19 and 16. Wow.
So our oldest daughter just went to college and we have a junior in high school.
So then what's kind of next for you? Where's the next evolution for Shawn Poe?
So, it's this domino effect that happens in network marketing that the impact that you can have is literally on tens of thousands of people. And, that's something that we're always going to be plugged into, but we're super, super passionate about traveling the world. And we've been fortunate to be in a position that we could, as our kids were growing up, share with them the world and different people and cultures and environments. They're both fluent in Spanish. And so we have built-in translators when we go to Spanish speaking countries. But that's something that we want to do more of, just seeing the world. There's so much out there that we haven't seen yet. So I'm looking forward to that in the next 18 to 24 months, having more flexibility because we can work from anywhere. If our cell phone has coverage, we're good to go. And so I love that aspect of the freedom of time and flexibility that I didn't have in the corporate environment. And then even in network marketing, when you have kids, it's not like you can just be gone for 2 months and say, I'll be back here in a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that chapter. And just seeing our kids step into adulthood and be able to have some tools and resources that they grew up around that we just didn't have until our mid 30s. And that's what I'm talking about with Tony and the network marketing environment and all of that is they've been exposed and heard things for so long. They think everybody just learns that and is educated with that. So I'm excited about that head start that they have on personal development that not a lot of young people have. And it's just going to set them up on a path to success a lot quicker than it was for me.
Yeah. It's always interesting that whether it's a Tony Robbins event or Joe Dispenza event, the young people that are there, I just keep thinking, golly, I wish I would have.
Yes.
Or, it's amazing. Joe has a group of under 25-year-old kids, starting at like 8 or 9 years old now. And he's working specifically with this under 25-year-old group now. And he'll spend extra time with them at events. and they're on a monthly Zoom call now with him, and he's really wanting to change the world. And the younger we could get these kids, the more powerful it would be, because we didn't start till later in life.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going like, I'm in my 60s now, and I'm just starting to get this stuff. And I'm sitting next to an 8-year-old kid and going like, wow, is that cool or what? Yeah. So I take it that your daughters absorbed it and found value in personal development, because not everyone does.
No. And when we brought them to that first Tony event, we were like, they're kids. Like they could totally check out after 2 hours. Our youngest daughter, she would have been 10 at her first event. And she took more notes than any adult that we were around for 4 straight days. Like she was just so in the zone and soaking it in. And that amazed me. And I think part of the cool thing too, when you get kids that are that young and you can get the information in front of them, they don't have all of these webs of things that you have to tear down first for them to understand. Mm-hmm. Like the world to them is like limitless. And so I love that, Joe does that and Tony does that as well. Because if you can get them before human nature has kind of put up, what you can and can't do and accomplish, that's a big head start too.
What's interesting that you said travel, because have I got an opportunity for you? I'm actually taking a group of people to Vietnam in April. And then I've rented a yacht in Croatia. We're doing a Croatia cruise up to Venice in June. And I'll be teaching Dr. Joe's program, Change Your Mind, Create New Results, through our company called NeuroChange Solutions. And so you should come with me.
I love that. Yeah, we've watched that journey from afar on the lens of Facebook, and you've put together some killer trips.
They actually are. And this last one that I did in the Greek islands, we had 18 people. Varda, a plat partner, was there. And, the guy from Texas, what's his name? Another platinum partner was there. I think there were 5 platinum partners there. Nice. And all 18 people just gelled so much. So it wasn't just the materials that we were teaching, but everyone brought so many cool things to it. Quite truthfully, it is like a platinum partner trip.
Awesome.
With just amazing people. And I've got this company, this young kid. I haven't met a young kid that is so customer focused. How Tony teaches at Business Mastery that, delight the customer.
Yes.
This guy does it. And we had an older lady that was coming to Thailand. And she flew to Chiang Mai, I think. No, she flew to Bangkok, and he sent one of his assistants over to pick her up in Chiang Mai or in Bangkok and fly with her to Chiang Mai. It's only like $40. She's 73 years old, and it was just like cool.
Wow.
She doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And, I just love this company that is putting my trips together. So literally, I just have to show up and I teach in the morning, and then the rest of the day we go have fun and have great experiences. And anyway, that's kind of a cool thing.
I love it. I love it.
Now I got to ask you: you live in a really, really cold place.
Yes.
Today it was 80 degrees. It's 80 degrees right now here in Naples, Florida. And I'm out, on the beach, those white sandy beaches without a shirt, just little shorts on. And I feel bad for people in really cold places.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel bad for you guys. Why do you stay there?
Well, like Florida, there's no personal sales tax or income tax. So we love that. But we grew up in Wyoming, Robert, and we grew up around neighborhoods where you can leave your keys in your car, your front door unlocked. If your garage door is open, you'll come home to all your stuff still being there. And after graduate school, I went to Chicago and Milwaukee, and it wasn't the case there. And when we had Callista, it wasn't even the case of, as she learns to ride her bike, that you would let her ride her bike down the street by herself. And so it was a combination of that and then Michelle's health that we were like, we need to go back to South Dakota. It's very similar to Wyoming, and, great education systems. Our kids through public schooling went to a Spanish immersion program. Lots of opportunity. And then for the stuff that Sioux Falls isn't big enough to have, we're super close to Minneapolis, super close to Omaha. And yes, I do not like January and February here. I'll probably, as soon as the kids are done with high school, I'll probably be done doing winters here, and just travel to different places. But I think we'll always have a home in South Dakota, just because the people are incredible. And, there's very few places that I've been around that I'm like, this is where I want to have a permanent location.
Yeah, I actually really get that. Kind of that whole Midwest area, and I consider South Dakota part of the Midwest. They're just beautiful people, and quite truthfully, here in Florida, they're not as beautiful people. I had this idea that I was going to live in the winter in Florida and the summers in California, because I'm a California guy, and I still think that, but I don't know about this Florida thing. I love the white sandy beaches and the weather here, but I don't know about some of the people that I guess I'm just a West Coast kind of guy.
Yeah. No, we love the Gulf side of Florida. Like warm water is our cup of tea, being in warm environments. But here we are.
Yeah. So if you had to give advice to anyone that's listening here about personal development, about network marketing, about anything that you can, because you have the floor here, what would it be? What would you like to leave our audience with that's like a golden nugget, or a few?
Yeah. So 2 principles that we kind of live by. The first is live the life you dream to live. And what we mean by that is people have these concepts in their head of things they want or a way that they want to live, but they don't truly feel like they can ever accomplish it, or it's too far of a vision or a dream, or too far away in life for them to attain. So we really try to build that vision for people that you truly can live the life you dream to live. And it's probably going to take different steps than you've taken in the past and changes. But if ultimately you're not where you want to be, you've got to make change. You've got to do something different. And then the second part that we've really adapted all the time is a decision-based life. I went to this event in network marketing. It was like a 3-day event. And every single speaker that got on stage at some point in their talk, they talked about a defining decision in their life that changed things. And like you were just saying, golden threads, when you hear multiple speakers talking about the same concepts that worked for them, you better take note of those golden threads, because they're important. And when I was showing Michelle, I was going back through my notes, and it was like 40 pages of notes, and every page had the word decide on it. I started scribbling decide on my wrist. And when we got home, I started to think about all the greatness and things that we had accomplished in life, came back to making one decision. And when we made that decision, it was like burn the boats, because there's no going back from that decision. I don't know how it's going to happen, but the how transformed after the decision was made in concrete in our mind. And so I actually tattooed that on the side of my wrist as a sticky note to myself, that I need to decide. Like if I want things to change, it starts with that decision. And then again, the how is going to develop, and things in the universe open up that you weren't concentrating or aware of after that decision's been made. That maybe it's your subconscious that's allowing it to be seen now, but it works for us. And so we really live our life by those 2 kind of concepts or mantras. Is, let's live the life that we dream to live. And then all greatness that we've had come into our life started with one decision. And it wasn't a 99% decision. It's 100%. This is what's going to happen.
That is awesome. For everyone that's listening, redo that piece, listen to that piece, what Shawn just shared with us, because that's really kind of an amazing thing to do. That a lot of times in personal development, we hear things and they're really simple concepts, but they're not necessarily easy to implement.
Correct.
And that's where we want to get to, is first of all, so that you can understand what the simple concept is, and then figure out how you're going to implement it for you, because it's unique to each and every single person. And Shawn, you and Michelle have built an incredible life. I'm so excited when I get to see you guys and witness what you're doing. I'm just so honored to have you here as a guest on the Ratitude podcast. Please say hi to Michelle for us and continue to be and live an amazing life and making those decisions along the way. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Robert, and keep changing the world. You're on such a powerful mission, and I love seeing your face light up. I remember the very first time that we met you before Fiji was when we were making that decision to be platinum partners with Tony, and you were handing out the love buttons. And that made, honestly, a huge impact on my life. And I run across those buttons every once in a while, and it always brings a smile to my face. So know that you're making a difference. You're impacting and changing the world by being you.
Thank you very much. It's so interesting, those love buttons, because it started actually from Date with Destiny, a Tony Robbins event where I decided my purpose in life is to love contagiously. And those buttons just showed up.
Yeah.
I've now given out approaching 15,000 buttons.
So cool.
And I just got an email from someone that I gave a button to. I don't remember even the incident, but I gave a button on an Abraham Hicks cruise. Last year. And this lady asked for 5 of them, one for her husband and then her 3 kids. And one of her kids thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And so he talked to mom into buying 300 and he started giving them out. He was very introverted.
Yeah.
And they were worried about him. And she just wrote this beautiful letter saying how it impacted his life. And now he's going out there and he's given love buttons. They have a new one, a black version of it.
Yeah.
And she said, they just bought a bunch of them. And she said, he doesn't even care that they're not magnetic. They have the pin, but people light up anyway.
Yeah.
And when you give love to people, they light up and you light up. It's an amazing thing to do. So I'm glad that had an impact to you. Please, again, say hi to Michelle. I send you guys both lots and lots of love and hope that we run into each other somewhere in the world once again.
Love it. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.